Okay, let's dive into something that is, well, just deeply frustrating, right? It's a cycle we all know. It's January 1st, or maybe it's just a Monday morning, and you are just full of motivation. You have this big goal, you've got the plan,
You feel unstoppable.
totally unstoppable, whether it's, you know, getting your finances in order, hitting a new fitness goal, whatever it is. But then what happens? Maybe 6 weeks later, that fire is just gone. The plan's in a drawer somewhere.
Hmm.
And what we found in the sources for this deep dive is that this pattern isn't just common. It's almost statistically inevitable if you use the common approach. So today, we're really going deep into the blueprint for what makes success permanent.
Yeah, and what's so striking in the data is the, I mean, the sheer gravity of failure. We feel like it's a personal feeling, right, when we quit a goal.
Absolutely.
But it's a mass phenomenon.
Yeah.
Statistically, if you set a big new goal for yourself, you have an 80% chance of quitting by February 15th.
80%.
Yeah.
That's barely 6 weeks in.
Just 6 weeks. The vast majority of people haven't even had time to see any real results before they've already given up.
Wow.
And it gets worse. If you stretch that out over a full year, only about 8% of people actually achieve what they set out to do.
So 92% of people are just stuck in this loop, high hopes, and then failure.
Exactly. A cycle of motivation, relapse, and then, a lot of self-blame.
Right. And that's where we always go, isn't it? When that collapse happens, we tell ourselves, I just don't have enough discipline, or I need more willpower, or I just have to try harder. Is that what the sources say is the problem?
No, absolutely not. In fact, according to this blueprint, that whole idea of relying on willpower, it's not just ineffective, it's the core reason for the failure.
The core reason.
Yeah, you have to think of willpower less like a character trait and more like a battery. It's a finite resource and it drains.
And how does it drain? I mean, is it just about resisting that piece of cake?
Well, that's part of it, but it's more insidious. The sources talk about something called decision fatigue. Okay. Every single choice you make all day, what to wear, what to eat, which email to answer first, it all costs you a little bit of mental energy. It's constantly chipping away at that willpower battery.
So by the time you get home from a long day,
It's running on empty. And if your entire strategy for success, say sticking to a diet or working on your business, relies on using that already drained battery, well, you're just setting yourself up to fail.
you're building, as one source put it, a house on sand.
Exactly. The second a little bit of stress or fatigue hits, that house just collapses. And the old habits, the comfortable ones, they come rushing right back in.
Okay, so the mission here for this deep dive is clear. It's not about finding better life hacks or a new planner.
No.
We need to stop fighting this external battle and start working on the invisible operating system that's running our lives. We have to talk about identity.
Let's start with the way most people set goals. I mean, the structure that lands them squarely in that 92% failure bracket. The sources call it the outside-in approach.
And it's a formula we've all used, probably without even thinking about it. It always starts with the outcome. This is the HAVE.
Right.
You say, I want to have $1 million, or I want to have a six-pack. You start with the end result.
And then the next logical step seems to be defining the process.
Yeah.
All the massive, hard things you need to do to get there.
So that's the DO. I will work 12 hours a day, or I'll never eat sugar again. This huge, monumental DO.
And here's the flaw, the real inefficiency in that model. People assume that eventually, after all that exhausting doing, they'll finally become the person they want to be. The BE is the last step.
But if you haven't actually become that person on the inside first, all that doing just creates this massive internal friction.
It's called cognitive dissonance. You're trying to force these external actions that just don't line up with who you believe you are, your self-concept.
Yeah.
And that fight requires that willpower battery we talked about. It's always temporary.
So you can't get the lasting have if you don't already have the B.
You got it. Which means the solution is to just flip the script. If have to be is the path to failure, the sources are clear that the blueprint for success is the exact opposite. It's BE, then DO, then heavy E.
Start with who you need to be first.
Precisely. You begin by defining and then becoming the person who already has those traits you want. You anchor your actions in who you are, not what you're trying to get. When the identity shifts, the actions get so much easier.
This is where that smoking example from the source material it makes it so clear. You have two people trying to quit and they're both offered a cigarette.
Right.
Person A says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit.
And that language is everything. Trying to quit.
Yeah.
That person still sees themselves as a smoker who is in a constant, brutal fight with themselves.
They're using willpower. And on a bad day, that fight is easily lost.
But then you have person B.
And person B says, no thanks, I'm not a smoker. It's a world of difference.
It's profound, isn't it? Their identity has already shifted. Smoking is just, it's not an action that aligns with who they are anymore.
So there's no willpower needed. There's no internal battle to be won.
None. The action doesn't fit the self-image, so they don't even have to think about it. It's just an automatic rejection of that old behavior.
And you can apply that everywhere. So instead of I'm trying to run 3 times a week, you ask yourself, what would an athlete do today?
Yes. Or instead of I'm trying to save money, you ask, what decision would a financially responsible person make right now?
So you establish the B first.
Mm-hmm.
But to really get why this works so well, we need to understand this invisible system that's running in the background. The sources called it the brain's cybernetic mechanism.
Yeah, that sounds a little technical, I know.
It does. What does that even mean?
Well, a cybernetic system is really just a self-regulating system. It uses feedback to maintain stability. Think about your body constantly working to maintain a 98.6-degree temperature.
Okay, right. Homeostasis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your brain does the same thing for your behavior, for your success level.
Yeah.
It acts like a thermostat. And the set point on that thermostat is your self-image.
So who you believe you are, what you think you deserve, that's the temperature setting.
That's the temperature. That's your comfort zone. And this is where it gets a little unsettling.
Because if your set point is low, your own brain is actively working to keep you there.
It's actively working against you when you try to succeed. Let's use the financial example from the sources. Imagine your internal thermostat is set to earning, say, $50,000 a year. That's what feels safe and normal to your brain.
Okay.
Now, let's say you have an amazing month. You hustle. You make $10,000 in 1 month. You're suddenly on track for $120,000 a year.
Which is way above the set point.
Way above. Your subconscious brain starts sounding these alarm bells.
Yeah.
It's overheating. To the primitive part of your brain, being so far outside the familiar zone feels dangerous.
And so it tries to cool things down. How does it do that?
Through subconscious self-sabotage. It's fascinating. You might suddenly start procrastinating. You stop making the sales calls that were working so well.
Or you spend the money foolishly because deep down, you feel like you don't deserve it.
Exactly. Or you pick a fight with a colleague. Your brain is actively trying to pull you back down to the $50,000 comfort zone where it believes you belong.
So the very first time you really start to succeed, your brain can actually work against you to undo it. That just reframes everything about failure for me. Does it work for things other than money?
Oh, 100%. Think about fitness. Let's say your identity, your thermostat, is set to couch potato. But you decide you're going to train for a 10K.
Okay.
You push hard for 4 weeks, you're running 4 miles, you feel great. But that's way outside your normal set point.
The alarm bells go off again.
They do. And the brain sends signals to restore that comfortable couch potato state. So suddenly you mysteriously tweak your knee, or you catch a really bad cold.
Or 100 other urgent things pop up that keep you from your run.
And those things feel so real. But often they're just manufactured by your internal system trying to maintain its setting of, I'm not an athlete.
So this leads to the core rule then. You cannot permanently outperform your self-image.
You can't. You can hustle and struggle for a few weeks, but the gravity of who you believe you are will always, always pull you back.
Okay, so this is the critical question. If our brains are wired to fight us, how do we actually change that set point? How do we reprogram the thermostat for good?
We don't change it by just declaring it. You can't just say, I'm an athlete, and have it be true. You have to change it by accumulating evidence.
So identity is just the story you prove to yourself with your actions.
That's it. And this is where the 1% rule concept really connects with the identity shift. The sources use this amazing analogy of casting a vote.
I love this.
Every single action you take, no matter how small, is a vote for the type of person you want to become.
So we stop thinking about actions as just tasks to check off a list.
And you start seeing them as identity affirmations. It really lowers the pressure.
Right.
The goal isn't to run a marathon tomorrow. The goal is to cast a single tiny vote today.
So if you want to be a writer, the vote isn't writing a 10,000-word chapter.
No, the vote is just opening the laptop and writing for 5 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
When you do that, you've cast a vote, you've sent a piece of evidence to your brain that says, see, I am a writer.
And to be an athlete, the vote isn't finishing the race. The vote is just putting on your running shoes and walking out the door.
Yes, that small action reinforces the identity. I am the type of person who shows up. I don't miss workouts.
So the goal isn't immediate transformation. It's just accumulation.
Pure accumulation. You just stack those tiny votes day after day, week after week, until the pile of evidence for the new identity is so massive that the old identity just it dissolves.
Yeah.
And success stops being this forced uphill battle, and it just becomes your new normal.
Okay, so we have the framework. Be, do, have. We get the mechanism, this thermostat idea. And we have the tool, the 1% vote. But how do you make sure you're actually making progress and not just, drifting?
You have to measure. You cannot manage what you do not measure. Most people just kind of drift along trying their best, but they have no real data. Winners track their votes. They have proof that they're actively reprogramming their own minds.
So for anyone listening right now wanting to start this, what are the first two concrete steps?
Okay, first, define the identity. And this requires a really radical shift in your language. You have to stop using outcome-based language.
So stop defining goals by what you don't have.
Exactly. Don't say, I want to lose 20 pounds. Start saying, I am a healthy, energetic person. Don't say, I want to get out of debt. Say, I am a disciplined investor.
And once you establish that new internal identity, the necessary actions just become obvious.
They do. Which leads you to step 2. Identify the small vote. What is the one tiny 1% action that the new version of you would do every single day? Not the huge effort, just the small, undeniable vote that proves the new identity is real.
So if you're a disciplined investor, maybe that vote is just checking your spending tracker for 2 minutes before you go to sleep.
Perfect. That's a perfect vote.
Now, this all sounds great in theory, but we know it's hard. If the brain is designed for familiarity, the old version of you is going to fight back hard.
Oh, absolutely. The old self-image will defend itself like its life depends on it, because in a way it does. Your brain loves safety, and it defines safety as the familiar.
Even if the familiar is making you miserable.
Even if it's destructive.
Yeah.
To your primitive brain, changing your life in a big way feels like a threat to survival because you're stepping into the unknown.
So that feeling of resistance, that dread when the alarm goes off for your workout, or that little voice telling you to procrastinate.
That is the sound of the old identity fighting for its life. That is the sound of it dying.
So you need to reframe that feeling. That resistance isn't a sign you should stop.
It's a sign of progress. It's proof that you are successfully pushing the thermostat's set point higher. It means you're winning the fight against inertia, and inertia always pushes back hardest right before a real change happens.
This has been such a critical deep dive. It really changes the focus from finding some temporary motivation to building a new self-image piece by piece with evidence.
Yeah, stop fighting that external battle with willpower. That battery is always going to drain. It's what keeps people in that 92% failure bracket. The real work is winning the internal battle, building that new identity one vote at a time. The shift from trying to do something to just being someone it's everything.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now, thinking about that next big goal? We'll leave you with this final thought, which is really the core conclusion from our sources. You don't get what you want in life. You get who you are. So redefine who you are at the deepest level, and you will fundamentally and permanently change what you have. Go cast a vote for your new identity today.